so glad that you guys are here. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Gina Schafer. I'm the Director of Operations, which just means I do anything that I can to help you, to help our lead pastors, and just to help CLC in every area of ministry here. So I am honored to be able to be here while our pastors, Eddie and Karen, are actually speaking at another church so that those pastors can have the Sunday off. And so we are thankful for those chances where we can help out other churches. If you guys got a welcome packet when you walked in today, there are message notes that you can take out if you would like and reference those as we go along. We are super thankful for everybody watching on CLC live stream. We always love to see the interaction there. So if you want to post in the comments where you're watching from, we would love to see that and hear anything that you would like to share with us as we go along today. If you guys have been here the last few weeks or one of the last few weeks, you know that we're in a series called We Can Do More Together. And so we've learned a lot through the last few weeks of just how, when we want to be a part of changing people's lives, that we can do so much more when we do it together. If you've been here very long, probably more than 1 or 2 Sundays, you've probably heard Eddie talk about vision, because here at CLC, the vision that God has given our lead pastors is so very important. Most organizations, companies, businesses, they can't function without a vision, and that's here at CLC too, that we know the vision and we share that vision with you guys. But what we've come to learn is that the vision that God gives to our lead pastors for CLC is much bigger than them. It's much bigger than the few staff members that serve, and that's why we're in this series and we're teaching you that we can do more together. And here at CLC, we have dream teams, and that's what helps function all the ministries of CLC. So there's no way that without you guys, that the things here at CLC and the communities, anything that we do could ever take place. It takes all of us to make that happen. So we can do more together, but if we dream too small, then we really can't do anything at all. And so I want you guys to think about that as we talk today, as you hear a few people share their stories about how important it is to dream big. I heard in a movie the other day that said comfort is the enemy of progress. And sometimes that's the most easy thing for us to do, is to get to a place in our life where we're comfortable, things are going well. Why would you even dream any bigger? Because I'm just content, things are going well. And so we don't ever want to get to a place in our personal lives or here at CLC where we just settle for being comfortable. And if you're here very long, you'll kind of get that picture because God just continues to place that vision in us, and so we want to continue to grow and do the things for the kingdom. And so this scripture is one of my favorites. You guys can see it on the screen. You can use your YouVersion app, but Ephesians 3:20 through 21. God can do anything you know, far more than you could ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dreams. He does it not by pushing us around, but by working within us, his spirit deeply and gently within us. And I love that because God is going to help you fulfill your small dreams, but he's going to help you fulfill those dreams that are just beyond wild for you, things that just blow your mind. And he's not going to push us into those. He's going to gently help us to achieve those goals and those dreams we have. So we can do more together than we can apart. And I really want you guys to know that as you walk out of here, that we can do so much more and we do things together than when we try to do things on our own. God has given each of you, all of us, our own specific purpose because, we're designed by God. So he's got a vision for your life. He's got a purpose for you, but he wants us to join together. He wants us to be able to dream bigger together than we've ever imagined. And I was reading a devotional on YouVersion last week, and it was talking about just that, our purpose. What's our it in our life that drives us, that wants us to do more? And it said that it's great to discover that purpose. You have to do that first. But then we have to follow through. Because if you figure out that God wants you to start a business, if you figure out that God wants you to lead in children's ministry, if you figure out that God wants you to be a stay-at-home mom, that's great. But if you don't follow through on that, it's going to leave a hole. And I got to thinking, it's going to leave a hole in your heart, in your life, but it's also going to leave a hole in the church and just in vision. So God has placed this vision over your life, over the church that you serve at, that you're a part of, and if you don't fulfill your role in that, it leaves this hole. And so that's, that brings me back to 2003 when Eddie and Karen asked me to come here and serve alongside of them, and they shared the vision of CLC, and so I after a little bit of prodding, I decided to, yes, come to Rolla. But I knew that in that I had to find my own role. They didn't come here and ask me to be the pastor of the church. So at that time, the role looked a lot different than it does now. But that's the cool part, is that as you continue to pursue God, and as you continue to fulfill the dreams and the vision, in a few years that's going to change, which means you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone again and to just really chase after God and see what he's called you to do. So now 15 years later, I've fulfilled a lot of roles here at CLC, and after the last few years, I've done what I feel like God's called me to do, but I kind of, you get in those seasons where you think there's got to be more, and he's just been blowing my mind since April of opportunities he's given me. But in those opportunities, I have to say yes and venture out and do bigger things. So we don't always feel qualified to do that. When Eddie and Karen asked me to move here, I'm like, I don't really do anything. But at the time, I think I taught a toddler Sunday school class and sang in the choir, And so, but we don't always feel qualified. But what I have come to find out is that God equips us. He gives us what we need to do what he asks us to do. We just have to use those things that he gives us. And this verse brings a lot of comfort to me. In Hebrews 13:21, may he equip you with all you need for doing his will. May he produce in you, through the power of Jesus Christ, every good thing that is pleasing to him. So the cool part about that is that we don't have to know it all before we start. He's going to equip us. He's going to give us what we need. And some of you probably already have what you need to do what he's called you. You're just not jumping at that chance yet to use those things and dive in. But let me tell you this, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be willing. And I don't know about you, but I'm a perfectionist. And I feel like if I don't know everything in the beginning, if I don't feel like I can do everything that I need to teach someone else to do, that I just hold off and I don't want to do it. But I've learned that over the years, that if I am just willing, that God is going to use me, and he's going to use me in a powerful way. So in the end, the only things I think we're going to regret are the chances that we didn't take. So think about that in your life. What are some chances that you didn't take, and do you regret those things? Not to say that you don't have that chance again. So I encourage you to pray about those things. If there's something weighing on your heart today that, man, I missed that experience, to pray about that and see how that could happen again for you. So today what we want to do is take a few minutes with some CLC family who actually did take a chance, just to get involved and to be a part of changing other people's lives. So I could stand up here all day long and talk to you about why I think it's important to be involved in each other's lives, to do life together. But I think when you hear it from some other CLC family, you might really just be able to be a part of their story and to really say, man, I've been there, I've done that. So today, the first person I want to invite up to the stage is Shelly Morgan, if you'll make her feel welcome. So Shelly has been a part of CLC for over 5 years. She actually even came back in the day when we were at Comfort Suites, and then came back about 5 years ago and has consistently attended. In those 5 years, she started off by, she actually had to battle cancer. She is a breast cancer survivor, and we were able to walk through that. Yes, it's amazing. And so we were able to walk through some of that with her. And in the last 3 years, she has gotten super involved in CLC and groups and serving. Now she actually leads the team that's out in the lobby that is at that link out there. So when you guys have questions, she helps with that and gets the people that can do that. So it's been really cool to see her journey, see how she's involved, in every aspect of CLC. If we ask her to do something, even though if it's out of her comfort zone, she says yes. I'm not so sure she was going to say yes to me at first about being up here, but a little poking and prodding helps with that. But one thing that we did a few weeks ago when we launched the series is we talked about building community. And so if you were here, you know that we launched a 7 days of serving challenge. And we do this probably every year in some capacity, where we challenge you to get out in the community, whether that's Rolla, Salem, St. James, St. Robert, wherever you're from, and serve your community, because that's outside of the four walls is where you can really start to change lives and reach those people who may not know Christ. So Shelly really jumped all in, and I followed her journey for that 7 days on social media, and she did almost every single project that she could. So you'll see some pictures on the screen that Chesley, her son, they put together a teacher survival kit, and he's actually not even in high school anymore, but he went back and shared this with someone. She doesn't need that reminder that he's not in high school anymore. And then she also, they donated to the animal shelters, and we did a project with a veterans home in St. James where we came together as a church, put together bags, and delivered them. And it was really cool because last week they sent a thank you card to CLC just saying we so appreciate these. Thank you for thinking of us. The people here love that and feel loved, so thank you for that. And they also did the park cleanup. And so as a family, they went, they cleaned up, they used a scavenger hunt, just made it a fun time. So I wanted to ask her a few questions, let her share with you why she got involved and the importance of that to her. So just tell us really quick why you participated in the 7 days of serving.
Mainly because I love a good challenge. I like to get out there and do for others, serve our God when I can. I like to get with my family, do things together as much as we can because, of course, Chesley graduated, he's in college, and yeah, I'm having a hard time with that. So get out and do what I can.
Awesome. And she said, one thing she said that I really liked is that since she's able to do it, why not? And
right.
So sometimes there are things that we don't, it's not even out of our comfort zone, but we can do it and we just decide not to. We don't have the time. But then in the end, you start to realize what taking a few extra minutes here and there can really do. So I did ask her to share a little bit of the importance of actually doing it with her family. She chose to not do these projects all by herself, but she involved her kids and her husband. So why was that important to you to do that with your family?
I am the baby of 5. Well, there's more, but what I grew up with. All brothers, so we're always close, out doing things together all the time. And, with Chesley working all the time, and, Rachel's always busy doing her thing, just anytime we can get with our family, to me, that's valuable. I love my family. I mean, everybody that knows me knows how I love my family. And so I just cherish every moment I can get with them.
Awesome. And we talked about earlier that sometimes our kids don't always want to do those things with us, especially if you're in that stage where you have teenagers or kids that have other things to do. But it's really important because even if they don't enjoy it now, years later, they're going to remember that memory and they're going to remember the importance of the things that we teach them in these moments of serving. So I thought that was really cool to see that. It was really encouraging. I even got my 2-year-olds out there. I couldn't get them to stop touching the trash, which was kind of opposite. But it is really cool to do these things. And one of the projects we did is we were challenged to get together some food, not even really cook a meal, just the ingredients for a food and provide it for a neighbor. And so Shelly did that, and she shared her story on social media, and it hit me. And so I wanted her to share. She actually gave the ingredients to a friend down the road, Steve Ortiz, I think is how you say it. He's a veteran. And so she learned a lot about Steve just in that simple act of serving. So I want her to share kind of what she learned about Steve as she just did this simple thing for him.
I don't really know Steve. He is the father of a classmate of Chesley's. And a couple years ago, he was diagnosed with a lung disease that's called sarcoidosis. I hope I said that right. And, when the way we breathe in, normally we breathe in, we breathe in oxygen and exhale the carbon dioxide, but Steve can't do that because of his lung disease. He relies on oxygen every day for just a short distance to walk to the back of the auditorium. That would exhaust him. So he has to have that oxygen, or, if he doesn't have that, he could pass out.
So just by sharing a simple meal or ingredients for a meal, she starts to learn about him, and not just in the present, but he even opened up further than that and shared with Shelly a few things about his childhood and growing up. This gentleman had 2 brothers who committed suicide when he was 11 and 18, I believe. Then he found his mother attempting to commit suicide, and then a few years later, he actually lost a 3rd brother. And so what that spoke to me is people trust in you when you serve them. And so I thought that was really cool. And Steve even shared something with her about what his mom encouraged him in this whole process of him being diagnosed and what Shelly kind of enforced with him. So if you'll share that with them.
Steve told me that this disease was not really a shock to him, that, he was expecting something to happen to him. One thing his mom told him was, God has a plan for you. He has a plan for all of us. So if you didn't have that plan, that's what I told Steve, was God has that plan for you, and if you're out there and you have your doubts of what God's plan is, he thought it was, even though Mom says it's a plan, but I feel it's a curse. And I said, no, your mom's exactly right, because God does have a plan for all of us, and he doesn't tell us that you're just going to walk out there and no one's going to be here to help you, but you're going to go through struggles. We're all going to go through struggles. I had that struggle with cancer. So you're still here. You're fighting your journey. You're fighting this battle, and you'll get through it. And just keep believing. Keep believing that. Keep your faith and hope.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
trusting
awesome.
that God's gonna do what He says He's gonna do.
Very cool. And I love how that story ended that day. He reached out, gave her a hug, said thank you so much. And I'm sure he was thanking her for the meal, but more so thanking her for the time that she spent learning about him just in those few minutes. And so I asked Stephanie Ray, which led this 7-day serving project for her, just to say, I asked her what it meant for her to find someone like Shelly to do these projects. And she said that she's always felt the need to help others, but didn't know how. And she said having someone else like Shelly, who has the same passion to serve others and give back to them, warmed her heart. And she said, and she didn't know what this message was going to be about. And she said this, alone we can only do so much, but together we can change the world. So thank you for serving and sharing your story with us today. Welcome. So I want you to be encouraged that the person you serve, you may not know what personally they're going through, but sometimes that's okay, because you never know how much more you're helping them than just providing them a meal or a helping hand. So that's a huge part of who we are, and what we will continue to be here at CLC is just reaching out to communities and helping people that are in need. Another part of who we are here at CLC is we just serve God's church. God has called us as Christians to serve the church. And in this series, we've called it MVP, You're the Most Valuable Player. And so today I want to talk a little bit with Michael Piva about serving. So if he'll come up to the stage and be with me today, you guys will make him feel welcome. So Michael and his wife Jamie have been here about 1.5 years, and he served all but about 1 month of that. And then actually 14 months ago, so pretty much the entire time, we put him in a leadership spot and said, hey, we have a team that we really need a leader for, and so how about you try this out? And so I asked him about average what he serves, and on an average week, he serves about 10 to 12 hours a week, and on a busy week like last week, because we had a big event on Friday night, he served about 20 to 25 hours. And what I love is that we're all purposed differently. So Michael probably would not enjoy being on stage every single Sunday and preaching a message for you guys, but he does not mind to be behind the scenes and spend several nights here or at home getting things prepared for the screens and the lights and all those things. So we are thankful for every single volunteer. And so I asked Michael a couple of questions I want him to share with you. So my first question for him is, why did you initially even sign up to serve?
Well, at first, I really didn't think I had anything to offer the church. I came here and I saw the band and the lights and the smoke, and they had food and coffee, and everybody just was doing everything. I mean, I didn't think I could do anything to contribute. And John Z actually asked me one day if I filled out an iConnect card, and I was, no, I didn't. And he told me every little bit helps. So I started parking cars. I was helping Mike direct church traffic, and I figured, how could I screw that up?
So sometimes you guys are sitting in the seats and you're thinking, I didn't fill out an iConnect card, I didn't fill out an iServe card, there's not really much I can do, but I promise you that you are needed on the team, and every little bit helps. I love that. So why do you continue to serve and now lead a team of our dream teamers back in the booth? Why do you continue?
Well, when I was parking cars, I would greet people in the morning, and it was good to get to know everybody, and it felt good to help out the church. And one day, I guess the church saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and they asked me to work in the booth. And when I got in there, it was challenging, it was fun, and it was pretty fulfilling also.
And I love it because what we might see as fulfilling is not for someone else, and that's okay. I was teasing earlier because Terry said that is not for me. That confuses me. I always tell Michael when he tells me something about the booth that it hurts my head. But then there's other people who love to be back with babies, even changing diapers, and you guys are like, that's crazy. So just know that what's fulfilling to Michael is not going to be fulfilling to you, but once you find that place, once you find that purpose, you're going to find something that makes you feel the way that Michael feels about serving. I also asked him, what does serving mean to you personally? What does it mean to you spiritually?
Well, serving's actually become just a part of my life. In the short time I've been in the booth, I have personally seen over 100 people get baptized and devote their life to Christ. And to think that God's using some of my talents in a small way to make that happen, it's wonderful. And spiritually, it fuels me. It gives me a passion that I didn't have before.
And he added one more thing. I didn't ask him for this, but I thought it was great, so I want him to share just a challenge for anyone out there that's listening when it comes to serving and using the gifts that God's given you.
And I just wanted to tell everybody in the auditorium and on live stream that don't let the devil whisper to you that you're not enough, because you are. You are good enough to serve. You're good enough to help. And serving will help you see that. Serving changes lives. It changed mine. It can change yours too.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. So you guys have heard it. Every little bit matters. Every person matters, and no one matters more in your area of serving than another. And so I want you to remember that you are the most valuable player. It doesn't matter where you serve, where you're going to begin to serve, but know that as a Christian, when we're a Christian, that just means we serve God and to serve people around you. And in this devotion I told you I've been reading, it's really just about your it. And it said that sometimes your it, your purpose, may not affect someone physically in that moment, but it's giving you the opportunity to affect people's lives. And sometimes you plant that seed, and you may never see what that turns into 10 years later, but you just have to trust that you plant the seed by serving them, and that God's going to do the rest. So if you did miss the opportunity a couple weeks ago to sign up to serve, but you're interested, you can do that today in the lobby as you leave at the link. There'll be hosts out there. They have the card. They have explanations. They can answer any questions that you guys have. Another thing that is a huge part of the vision here at CLC is our group life. And so we do life together here at CLC. You heard it last week. Eddie said, I need you and you need me. And we have several different areas of groups here. But we've got a couple here who's actually been attending CLC for 13 years. So I'm going to invite Heather and Terry up to the stage with me. So like I said, they've been here for 13 years, and probably since month one, they started participating in groups. Back then, we called them life teams, and we have continued. Obviously, you can see how big of a part of the vision it is, because that is continuing 13 years later. They've also served in multiple areas of the church here at CLC, and just in the last couple of years, they started leading groups themselves. So I really wanted to just let you learn a little bit about them, their journey, why they do groups. And so the first question I just want to ask is, what do groups mean to you guys?
Groups are an awesome thing, because without a specific group of people, you get connected. You're one, and without them, everyday struggles are endless. With them, everything's possible.
Awesome. What about you, Heather? What do groups mean to you?
Small groups and our groups that we meet with weekly are so important, because they give us those opportunities to grow and really just challenge each other and just give one another support.
Yeah, and even, we have different groups of, here at CLC, we have life groups, interest groups, connect groups, and even in our connect group on Thursday mornings coffee, sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh, so it's awesome that you find a group that you connect with. I'm not saying that Heather cries the most, but it could be a possibility. But it is awesome to do life together. So tell us a little bit, maybe a story of how life groups have gotten you through a tough situation over the last 13 years.
Well, one of the biggest ones was 6 years ago. Our oldest son, his appendix ruptured. So we had to rush to Children's, and we had to try to figure out what to do with the other two kids that we had. One was 2, and Tyler would have been, 13? She was probably 13. And so that was a struggle in itself, because we both wanted to be there with him, but we didn't know how that was going to happen. And Life Team, as we called it back then, they come together, they watched our kids while we was gone for, 13 days or something like that. And without them, Mike Moffitt, he was a big provider, and Mike and Chris Crone.
Awesome.
And, Bruce and Mitzi and Josh and Ashley Lynn, without them, it wasn't possible. We had been separated.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
That's awesome. And in those moments when you think about, if you have a situation like that, what am I going to do? And the fact that they didn't even really have to think twice. These people came to them and said, let me keep your children. You go be with your one sick child and let me take care of them. didn't have to bother them. They just took care of them, loved on them, and it was just a great it was a great experience for them to know their kids were being taken care of and they didn't have to worry. And Heather even mentioned a few things like, life situations when your first child leaves the home, and so that life group walks through that with you. If you're not there yet, I'm not, you may not know the extent of that, but it's hard for women and for moms, so it's cool to see the things that life groups walk through. We've had people walk through addiction. We have people who are walking through addiction right now, and without a life group, just meeting here together on Sundays doesn't mean as much as if you have those personal, intimate relationships. So one of the things that you guys do is lead a group, and so what does that mean to you to actually lead a group?
Well, leading, I feel like, is just like a natural progression for us. We started off not having a clue about this God thing, and we've grown and we've changed, and now we have the opportunity to reach out and help and support and walk with other people through their journey with Christ.
That's awesome. And one thing that you always use, Heather, is the term your tribe. So I want to ask you, what do you mean when you say your tribe walked through this with you, or your tribe? How is your tribe different than the person that you work with or your neighbor down the road?
Well, we've all heard that saying that it takes a village, and my tribe is my village. They're the people that have come alongside us, and they've been with us through good and bad and through every struggle, and they know us. They know the real us and not just who people see, and that is huge. Those are those people that you have the opportunity to make your family.
And that's what I want to challenge you guys in today. If you don't feel like you have a tribe, if you don't feel like you have people you can confide in and trust, I'm going to challenge you to find that, whether that's going to be through a group here at CLC, and I promise you, if you get involved with a group, you're going to find a tribe that walks through life with you. But find someone. I heard this quote, and it says, "You're only as intimate as you are vulnerable." That word gets me. But when you are vulnerable in your groups, you're going to create those intimate relationships, and that's what you need to do life with. Those are the people that are going to help you grow spiritually. So find those people you can trust. You've heard us say it before, but God doesn't intend for you to do life alone. So thank you guys for sharing about your journey in groups. I've heard this quote, and I've always read it and continue to read it, but it says, you may be the only Jesus that some people will ever see and experience. Because there's going to be people in your life who will never step foot inside of a church, but they might go to a group with you. They might go get coffee. They might even go to a friend's house with you to eat barbecue. We just went to a church and visited Church of the Highlands, and we found out that they have thousands, not just a few, not just 100, they have thousands of more people that attend their small groups than even attend their church on a Sunday morning. That's powerful. That means that's the people of their church getting out and inviting their friends to be a part of their life. Do group life with me. That's all they do. Come with me. And even if they never walk through those doors, they're starting to get those little glimpses of God and what He can do in their lives. So I love that. If you didn't get to sign up last week, we invite you to still sign up today to be a part of a life group, to be a part of a connect group, and just start doing life with people here at CLC. And you can do that when you exit today at the link in the lobby. So we just want you to know that here at CLC we do life together. So if you try to come in and slip out, we're only going to let you do that a few times before we grab hold of you and say, hey, let's do this thing together. If you're struggling through something, let someone here know, because we want to be a part of that with you. So you heard a few wins. I mean, you could go talk to anyone in this church, and they're going to share wins of just life with you, doing things with a team that is serving, with a group in a home or at a coffee shop. So how can you be a part of that? I really want you to think about, how can I be a part of that? If that's joining a team, if that's joining a group, if that's when we have something in the community that you get to be a part of that. And how can you share your story? Even if you think it's nothing like what they shared up here, you have a story that's going to affect other people. And you have things that you've walked through that I've never walked through, so I'm not going to be able to connect with those people, right? And so here's one more question for you. How can you begin to dream big?
Yes, sir. Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we have arrived safely because we have sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when with the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture on wider seas, where storms will show your mastery, where losing sight of land, we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hopes and to push into the future in strength, courage, hope, and love.
Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves. When our dreams have come true because we've dreamed too small, too little, and when we arrive safely because we've sailed too close to the shore. I don't know if you guys have heard this before. You can Google it. This has kind of been a staple of CLC. We've used this for years and years, but it is a challenge for me. When I get to the place where I'm comfortable, when I get to the place where I'm content, I listen to this, I read this, and I think, Lord, I need you to disturb me. Set my heart on fire. Let me step out of that box that I have. Let me do bigger things for you. But I can't do that if I don't ask him. So I'm going to challenge you guys to learn this. Think about this. Google it. That's what I did. Just looked it back up so I could see the whole thing. And so really, truly spend some time this week in prayer and ask God, what do you want me to do? What part of the vision can I fulfill? How can I be a part of that? There is no one sitting in this room right now that cannot be used for God. I promise you that. I have gotten a phone call this week that kind of blew my mind, just an opportunity that I thought I'm not even worthy to do that. And I was talking about it last night. We had family get together, and my brother-in-law said, you asked for it. I mean, God's given you opportunities, you've taken them, so he's going to give you more. And I was like, okay, you're right. So ask God how you can be a part, what you can do. Who is in your life that you can influence that I can't, that Eddie can't influence? There's people that only you know. And there's people that you know and other people know, but they're not going to relate to that other person. They're going to relate to you. So here's my question for you. If not you, then who? Sometimes we sit back, we think, oh, Chris can do that. He can talk to that marriage. He's that pastor. But there's a lot of people in here that won't go talk to Chris and Stacy, but they can talk to you because you have a strong marriage too. So don't sit back and say that other person can do it. I'm content. I'm doing something, because I promise you God's calling you to bigger. So ask yourself, if not me, then who? Who's going to do it? Write that down. Pray about that. Journal that. That's my challenge for you today. If you guys will bow your heads. Lord, I thank you for these words that have come straight from you, God. I thank you for the vision that you have placed here at CLC in the hearts of our lead pastors, but I thank you for the people who's going to make that happen, God. I'm so grateful for the purpose and for the gifts and the talents you've given each of us to be a part of that vision, to make it whole and to see it fulfilled, God. I just pray that you are going to challenge us to dream bigger. I pray that you disturb our hearts, God. Don't let us settle. Don't let us just stay in this comfortable state, the season that we're in, God, but challenge us. Make us reach out to each other to get these things accomplished, Lord. I pray that we know wholeheartedly that we have family here at CLC that's going to help us walk through every season, that's going to help us to fulfill the dreams and the goals that we have for our life, God. Pray for every single person listening today, God, that we know you're there, God, that you walk through every single thing with us, and you've given us the people to walk through as well. If there's anyone listening today that doesn't know you, God, I pray that they know it's as simple as saying, God, please come into my life. Live in my heart. Forgive me of my past and help me to move forward. And then bring people around them, surround them as they journey on this walk with you, God. We give you all the glory. We give you the honor for the blessings in our life, God, for the challenges in our life, and for you holding our hand every step of the way, Lord. In your name, amen. So just know today, before you walk out of this building, you don't do life alone. Okay? You can get involved to whatever extent that you want. You can get involved in serving. You can get involved in a group, in multiple groups. When we do a challenge of, hey, let's do this thing together with the community, you can do that. And today you can see the host in the lobby. They can help walk you through that. And if you made that decision today to follow Christ, I'm going to encourage you, before you leave this room, in the very back, there's a booth that says, I have decided. I want you to stop there and just tell that person, hey, I made this commitment. We do that because we want to celebrate with you, and we want to help you walk through the next steps. We have a Bible, and we have a t-shirt. So again, thank you guys for being here, for listening, and take this as a challenge. Go home. Don't just leave it here today. Take it home. Spend the week to really just focus on some of the things that God had planned for us to learn today. Thanks again.
All right. What some awesome stories this morning. Appreciate you being